Hello, welcome to the next installment of the Changeling Heart fanfiction reading. So this is part 2, and we're starting with chapter 4, A Royal Wedding. Pinkie Pie was over the moon excited when she found out that Twilight's brother was getting married, and to a princess no less. The best part of all was that Pinkie would get to help with the wedding. She could hardly wait to show off her party pony skills and bask in all the love found at weddings. Twilight, however, was not as thrilled. She seemed greatly upset that her brother had never mentioned his engagement to her. Pinkie was sure she would be all right, though. Just wait until the wedding party. The Changeling and her friends arrived in Canterlot and immediately began preparing for the wedding. Everything seemed to be going fine. Pinkie was in charge of games, music, and dancing. She was hard at work planning when the bride came to check on her progress. The pink mare began to excitedly go over everything she had planned. She was so engaged in this that she almost didn't notice the strange look the Princess Cadence gave her. In fact, it was a wonder she noticed it at all. The princess looked vaguely surprised when she first saw her. Now she had a searching look in her eyes. It was as if she didn't know who Pinkie was and was trying to place her. The party pony quickly dismissed it and moved on. As the planning continued, Twilight became more and more upset. She kept going on about what a terrible bride Cadence was, and neither Pinkie nor the others could understand why. Twilight finally crossed the line during the rehearsal. Pinkie and the others were stunned when the purple unicorn proudly announced that the bride was evil. "She's gone bananas," the changeling thought. Twilight was nowhere to be found after the incident. Her brother had encouraged her not to even come to the wedding. Ouch. Even so, Pinkie hoped her friend would come around and still turn up in time for the wedding. And boy did she. Every pony was shocked when Twilight crashed the wedding accompanied by Princess Cadence? Every eye in the room must have darted back and forth between the princess at the altar and the one in the doorway, and no one was as secretly shocked as Pinkie Pie. There are 2 Princess Cadences? But how? Her mind moved fast and arrived at the most likely answer. The most reasonable explanation for a pony who looked exactly the same as some pony else. She mentally kicked herself for not noticing anything was wrong sooner. After all, she hadn't been able to sense any love in her from the moment they arrived. The pieces of the puzzle were all there, falling into place. She still didn't want to see it. And then Cadence spoke. The dirty Cadence that now stood in the aisle. She began to explain everything. "She's a changeling." Pinkie's blood turned to ice. Chapter 5. Fighting My Own Kind. In a blast of blinding green, the false Cadence vanished, leaving the changeling queen in her place. "Right you are, princess." Amid the commotion, Cadence and Chrysalis exchanged threats and told of plots, but Pinkie had tuned it all out entirely. She was spellbound by the changeling mare before her. "She looks like me," Pinkie thought in awe. Of course the queen was much taller, but many things were similar. The Swiss cheese legs, translucent wings, hole-filled hair, and ebony horn. The pink-haired changeling had read many library books about other changelings, but all of the pictures she had seen made them appear much different. She had begun to wonder if she was defective. But here before her was a changeling mare like her, and she was a queen. An evil queen, Pinkie reminded herself. A big fat meanie pants. Celestia had finally stepped in to challenge said big fat meanie pants. Hope filled all the ponies gathered there, but was soon dashed when Celestia was thrown violently to the ground. Pinkie finally willed herself to move from the position she had been frozen in this whole time. The 6 Ponyville friends gathered around their fallen princess, and in a strained voice she urged them to get the elements of harmony. Only Rarity hesitated to discard the long dresses they were wearing and bolt out the door. They had to hurry before the changelings overtook them. Easier said than done. Queen Chrysalis's minions had broken through, and a swarm of them now blocked the pony's path. Pinkie had never seen so many of her own species before. Each one looked mostly the same, which further confused the pink mare when it came to herself. The changelings began to change shape, vanishing in green energy and replaced by perfect copies of the 6 heroes. The resulting battle was confusing. Pinkie considered using her powers to trick the creatures. She'd been practicing her shape-shifting for some time now on the occasions when she was alone. Besides, surely no one would notice amid the confusion. Even so, she couldn't bring herself to take the chance. Now would be the absolute worst time for them to find out about me. And so she relied on her other tricks in this fight. At one point, she came face to face with a changeling that couldn't seem to decide which form to stick with. It was kinda entertaining. "Ooh, do me," Pinky encouraged. With an eye roll, the creature obliged. I've seen better." Much better. No one beats the original Pinkie Pie. The changeling was swiftly defeated by her party cannon. Eventually the mares made it to their destination, and victory seemed certain, until they were ambushed by even more changelings. They were brought against their will right back to where they had started. All was lost. Chapter 6. The Power of Love. The thing you love the most is also the thing most capable of destroying you. What do changelings love the most? Love itself. Shining Armor was far too weakened by Chrysalis feeding off of his love to repel the changelings. It looked like an easy victory for the queen. Almost. Cadence was not ready to give up just yet. Twilight had used her magic to free the princess's feet, and Cadence had succeeded in lifting the enchantment on Shining Armor. When he told her he was too weak, she remained optimistic. "My love will give you strength," was her declaration. What happened next was stunning. The magic in their horns came together and grew stronger than either of them could produce on their own. In a massive blast of sparkling pink energy, all of the changelings were violently thrown away from the city. "Wowie wow," Pinky thought. "So that's the power of love." Queen Chrysalis was annoyed. No, furious. Defeated so easily. Her changelings were starting to regroup after their less than graceful landings. "Unbelievable. I had Equestria right in my hooves. Those ponies will pay." She sat down to plot her revenge as more disoriented changelings came stumbling along. That one pony was rather strange, the pink one. She seemed like the sort that would be overflowing with love, but I couldn't seem to get any from her. It's as if I was blocked out. The queen's face scrunched up in confusion. That's not the only bothersome part, though. I feel like I know her somehow. It's as if I've seen her before. Perhaps a long time ago. A changeling walking past her caught her eye. "Pestilence!" The creature jolted at the sudden sound of her ruler's loud voice. Yes, my queen?" Pestilence squeaked. "I have a mission for you." Chapter 7. Pestilence. Pestilence flew silently toward Ponyville, mentally going over her assignment. The queen made it very clear that I mustn't fail. The town lay just ahead. The sun was just beginning to rise. The changeling landed discreetly on the outskirts and slipped along through the shadows. Suddenly she stopped, listening. She had heard a familiar sounding giggle. Peeking out from her hiding spot, she spotted a pink pony with a cotton candy mane. There she is, the pony who can block us out, the oddity. Crouching like a wildcat after its prey, she observed. Pinkie Pie appeared to be running early morning errands. Pestilence was intrigued by her every action. Look at how well loved she is here. A changeling could survive forever on a supply of love like that. I'm jealous. She continued to slip through the shadows and study the pink mare. She almost lost her a few times and mentally chided herself for not being more careful. After a while her diligence paid off as she was led straight to Pinkie's 5 closest friends. The mare had gone to meet them at the park and was now happily bouncing their way. I must gain what intel I can while I have this opportunity. My queen will be pleased. For an hour she sat crouched among the shrubs, simply listening to the pony's conversation. She filed away every bit of information in her brain. After some time, Pinkie Pie said her goodbyes to the others and headed back to Sugar Cube Corner. A flash of green and Pestilence was replaced by a mint-colored unicorn. She now traveled in plain sight while doing her best to not cause suspicion. "Hey, Lyra, wait up!" An earth pony was apparently trying to get the changeling's attention. "Shoot, I can't deal with this right now. I need to stay with the pink pony." She pretended not to hear. "Lyra, hey, don't ignore me!" Shoot, shoot, shoot. This disguise would obviously have to be abandoned in order to continue the mission. In a desperate attempt to shake the pony, Lyra stepped behind a tree and traded the body of a pony for that of a fly. Pestilence flew quickly, looking for Pinkie. Don't tell me I lost her." Fortunately, she spotted her prey just entering Sugar Cube Corner. The fly darted inside as well just before the door closed. "Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Cake," the mayor greeted the store owners. "Hello, Pinky," Mrs. Cake replied with a warm smile. Pestilence followed upstairs and into Pinky's room, where she perched herself on the headboard of the bed. Observing, she saw the mayor carefully lock the door and draw the curtains over the windows. Pinky let her bag slip off of her and thud gently to the floor. The next thing she did was so wildly unexpected that it shocked the spy, who froze where she was. Pinkie Pie stood in the middle of her room and was engulfed in green light, and there stood a changeling. And that'll be all for this video. We'll continue next time with part 3. Thanks for watching.